This is Professor Smartycorn's tutorial on how to draw Lewis dot diagrams and Bohr diagrams for Regents chemistry. Here we go. All right, now Lewis diagrams are actually really called Lewis dot diagrams, so you should just get used to calling it that because it'll help you remember which is which. Bohr diagrams you can think of as Bohr ring diagrams. Lewis dot diagrams have the dots. Bohr diagrams have the rings because they are boring. Now let's try a little, and Lewis dot diagrams, they only show the valence electrons. Bohr diagrams, you show all the electrons. So let's try a couple examples. We've got nitrogen 14, N14, and you can use your periodic table to figure out that N14 has 7 protons, 7 neutrons, 7 electrons, and it has an electron configuration of 2-5. Now first we're going to try doing the Bohr diagram. You have to draw a circle for the nucleus, and then the electron configuration shows 2 energy shells, or also known as energy levels, also known as orbits. Okay, so we've got our nucleus, we've got our 2 orbits, and let's put the stuff in the nucleus that goes there. The protons go in the nucleus and the neutrons go in the nucleus, and you have to specifically list how many of each there are, 7 protons and 7 neutrons. Then we start with 2 electrons in the first ring, 5 in the second ring. Rings are also known as energy levels or energy shells. 2 electrons in the first ring, put them opposite each other. That's generally the way it's done. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 electrons in the second ring or the second orbit. And we're done with our Bohr diagram. Now, Lewis dot diagrams are a lot easier. You just write an N, which is the symbol for nitrogen, and then you focus on how many valence electrons there are. The valence electrons are the ones in the outermost shell. Nitrogen has 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are done with the Lewis dot diagram. That's it. Now, Bohr diagrams can get really big and clunky very quickly, so I'm going to show you a shortcut way to draw Bohr diagrams so they're not so gigantic, but they still have all the same information. Here's what you do. You draw the nucleus with the contents, 7 protons and 7 neutrons. Then look at the electron configuration, write those 2 numbers next to it, and then put some little mini partial shell lines around each one. So you're showing there are 2 electrons in the first shell, 5 in the second shell, and these lines show that those are the energy shells or the energy levels. These are totally equivalent to each other. So from now on, I recommend you do this. It's shorter, it's faster, it takes up less space. Let's go to one more example, carbon-13. Carbon-13, you can use your periodic table to figure out it's got 6 protons, 7 neutrons, and 6 electrons. Its electron configuration is 2-4. So let's go on to the Bohr diagram. We've got a nucleus with 6 protons and 7 neutrons. And then we just take the electron configuration. 2 in the first shell, 4 in the second. We draw the mini rings or the mini energy shells there, and we are done. Lewis dot diagram, even easier. C for carbon. And how many valence electrons does it have? It has 4 in the outermost shell. That's what valence means. Electrons in the outermost shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are done. That's the tutorial on how to draw Lewis dot diagrams and Bohr diagrams. Thanks for visiting.